Hey, beautiful people, how are we doing? I am Anitra and storyteller, producer, educator, and content creator. He is Dr. Andre E. Evans, the brother that I never wanted.
What's good, people?
The brother that I never wanted. See, he doesn't even let me get words out, you guys. We are the Savage Siblings, and this is the Savage Sibling Podcast, where we are brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. We're so glad you guys are rocking with us for another episode. What is up?
Absolutely.
Bro, how you doing?
I'm doing well as usual. Just moving as best I can through everything I've got going on in life. We are, in terms of me and the girls, we're at this situation, this season where everyone's semester academically is coming to an end. Mm-hmm. And so that's Daniela's academic semester. That's Corinne's at UCLA. Daniela's at USF, and then Corey's at high school. And so, just kind of low key related to our episode today, they're all kind of reminding me of Daniela and Corinne are talking about like how they did this semester and how great they're doing and their grades and all that. And Corey is low key just quiet about everything, but that's always been Corey. Mm-hmm. And there are times where we're getting in these conversations, on our IG feed. I call it the offspring feed. Or that's in hilarious. Our text message. And again, I even our text messages, I call it the offspring text message. So it's just so cool. The girls and me. Mm-hmm. And Corey never responds. And that's just Corey. So I'm just talking to Corey. And I'm like, Corey, you didn't say anything about, how the end of your semester's going. And so I was like, so tell me what your grades like. And she's like, oh, I got all straight A's. And, I think I told you this earlier. But, and then I said, wait, Corey. I was like, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm just telling you this. And so now that it's going on the podcast, the whole world will know, and that's fine. But like Corey low-key is like the GOAT of my daughters. Like she really is the greatest because, Daniela's awesome, right? Yes, just this excellent soccer player. All her life represented the state of Kansas for girls, right? And Corinne is great at and she's great at field hockey, basketball, everything, right? But then Corey, like low key, ain't saying anything, but like Corey's coming ranked number 2 in the discus for the girls in Eastern League California. Says nothing about it. Nope. Right? And then ranked number 3 in shot put says nothing about it. Daniela's saying, yeah, she did really well on her graduate exam. That's what got her into, or GRE got her into the program. And Corinne, of course, she scored this high, ridiculous score on PSAT, and that put her like in the top 3% of all the California girls in California. Corey, says nothing about her PSAT. And so one of their guidance counselors comes up to me and says she killed it. And I was like, she told me nothing. Like, what'd she get? Come to find out, she got a point higher than Corinne.
See?
Nothing. Says nothing about it. Daniela, she's like, Dad, I'm really missing playing the viola because she was really great at it. And Corinne knows 5 instruments, great at them. Corey plays 7 instruments now. Not saying anything about it. So I'm laughing at this moment where there's accolades and accomplishments, and here's Corey just like chilling in the corner, just like I ain't saying anything, but I'm the greatest. Like I'm the greatest, right? And here's the crazy thing. I think Corey believes that if she tells me or her mother about all these accomplishments or accolades, I think she really thinks that our expectation of her will start to place a boundary on who she really is, right?
That's so good.
So I think part of the reasons why she doesn't say anything is because as soon as she does, then our expectation to be like, well, you need to keep being great in this area. And Corey's like, I'm great in every area, and I'm going to choose what area I want to be great in. So I ain't telling you nothing. I'm not sharing nothing with you. You just gonna keep finding out about my greatness through the grapevine, through other people's opinions, right? But that's what I think really makes her great. I'm not saying she's the greatest of the three. I'm just saying
sure.
Her accomplishments speak for themselves. Her greatness just kind of speaks for herself. She ain't got to say nothing at all, but it always blows me away. And I thought to myself as I'm listening to her, I'm like, yeah, that's right for this episode we about to deal with today. Some people are just great and you ain't got to hear about it. They ain't got to tell you.
Nope.
And and I think that mindset is real. Like if I open my mouth and tell you how great I am, then you're going to put me in your box of what you think I should be great at.
So good.
So I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let my box unpack itself the way I want it to unpack. So you cannot try to pigeonhole me into the greatness you want to see from me. I know that's Corey's reason for not saying anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's power in that.
Yeah. How about you? What's been going on with you? How's your week been?
It's so great. My nieces are always so amazing. Every time I hear about them, I'm always even more in awe. But it's been focused rest. I think that's been kind of the label is focused rest. Like rest is so important to anything we do, but certainly if you're trying to achieve greatness. And the reason why I say focused rest is because you can sleep and not rest, right? You can give yourself this idea of, okay, I need to rest, but it's actually not really rest. It's stressful. It's too curated. It's too, formulaic. And so I'm learning to really define, what is rest and kind of compartmentalize it in some ways, like, or section it out, like rest for my mental health, rest for my emotional health, rest for my body, all the above. So it's been really good to schedule that out and stay true to it. And I find that when I do that, it definitely leads me to the next level. So this week has been about focused rest for me. And that's all enough said, right? Like I love just being in that space.
Enough said. Enough said. That's something I think, like you said, we all got to practice. I think we get caught up in just the busyness of life and the pursuits that we have for ourselves, not realizing that part of your ability to move on to these goals and dreams you have for yourself is a balance.
Yes.
And that balance has to be making sure that you physically, physiologically, mentally, emotionally take a moment just to kind of just debrief, pour out, and find space in order to let in whatever is new or takes you to the next level. And that's rest. That's self-care. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's so good. Well, let's get into our sound off segment.
Sound off segment. Sound off.
No doubt. All right. So you're going to jump off our sound off for today.
That I am. So you guys already heard about my brother talking about just how amazing my nieces are, and he is not embellishing. It is true and core to who they are. Shout out to he and to their mom, Katina, have done such a fantastic job for Corinne and Corey, and shout out to Terry, done a great job for my oldest niece, Daniela. But in our Evans household, when I was growing up, and there's going to be some edge on this right now. Andre always was that person. So it's interesting that his daughters are that great too, because he always had the edge when it came to the four of us, my mom, my dad, myself, and him. And in four key areas that are really important to children when you're growing up, certainly when you get into middle school and teenage years, Dre was no question the most attractive of the four of us. And I actually had a conversation with our mom about this prior to this episode because I wanted to confirm. Nope, you get to listen to the sound off. You'll get a point in a minute here. So he was just naturally attractive. And we all knew that. If you have to rank the four of us, like Dre was the top, right? Then mom, because mom was always beautiful. And then dad and I would jockey over, second and third loser, right?
I have never heard this. I have never heard this before in my life.
It's a thing. And trust me, when you talk to some of our Wichita, Kansas friends, they will all concur. But mom and I had a conversation about this episode because we were thinking about, the focus is, this notion of you won't let me be great, which we'll unpack more. But when it came to just pure attractiveness, Dre was it. Like God just gave him a little more edge. Look, our mom is a beautiful woman, certainly even in her youth, even more so beautiful. And so it's like it kind of divided right down. I remember when people would meet our mom, they would say, "Oh my God, your mom is so beautiful." And then they look at me and say, "You must look like your dad." And I never knew how to take that because it was kind of like, I think that was a compliment because they said she's beautiful, but then I think that was a low-key shot at me. Like, so wait, I'm not, right? So Dre was always the most attractive. I can't tell you guys how many girls and ladies would say, "Oh, you're Andre's little sister. He is so cute. He is so
I have never heard this before.
So attractive." How many times did my friends, like we totally had that rule, no dibs on the sibs, right? Like all my friends, I was like, look, I don't like Andre. He's not a nice person. I don't care if you think he's cute and you can't date him, right? Just because it was always just a reminder, right? But so it wasn't just that he was attractive. Like he had the best teeth. He and mom had the best smiles. Dad and I had gaps and teeth that we all admit. Like dad has dentures now, right? I'm getting on the way there too, right? Mom and Andre have never had dental issues like ever. But my dad and I, we've been to the dentist like every month we have to go. Perfect skin. Dad and I are the ones that had acne and issues like that. The only thing that Dre definitely had growing up and now is he lost his hair pretty quickly, but dad lost his hair too. So I guess it's all bad for dad. I was able to keep mine. But it wasn't just enough for him to be naturally attractive. He was also the most stylish. My dad could not dress at all. You know this.
That's because he's partially colorblind. Well, that's not his fault.
No, nice try. You can try to cover it. That's not even just color. It's also just knowing which, not patterns, but which things you put with it. You know, he wore really tight pants and big, thick-soled shoes and all that stuff he wore.
He was before his time. His time.
You see, you try to cover it.
Men wear tight pants today. It's slim fit. It's slim fit. He's before his time.
He would wear the craziest stuff. Now, so Dre is giving him a pass. But Dre was the most stylish, no question. Mom, when you look at my mom, my dad, and myself, we don't think remotely about fashion. Andre does. And he always knew which things to wear, and he was able to master it, right? Now, I will say this. He's the second most intelligent in our small immediate family. He is not more intelligent.
Who's the first?
Dad is by far way more intelligent than all of us.
Dad is by far.
But you see how, did you guys see that? You see how he tried to come for me? You see how he tried to come for me? Do you see how he tried to come for me? Because I could have said me, and he'd be like, no, it's not you.
That's life for God. Life for God.
So the second most intelligent. But here's what's crazy, you guys, about that. He's still the one that outranked us in academics. He's the only one with a PhD. And I used to be killing my brother academically. And I'm like, how the hell did he get a PhD before me? And I'm the one that teaches. And he's like, well, he teaches well, but I started teaching. He's the only one with the PhD.
Teaching first.
He outpaced all of us in that. He's the only one that's written a book. He's the only one that's been paid for speaking, right? So clearly it is unfair. And so it, in connection with this, it is unfair. In connection with this particular episode, you won't let me be great. So I've had to sit under his shadow when it comes to looks, style, and I didn't put this here, but a good note, coolness, right? Like, how many kids say that their parents are cool? Do you know my nieces all think their dad is cool still? I can't think of anybody else. Maybe my friends in Wichita, they have a pretty cool dad. But very few people actually think their parents are cool. My nieces literally think their dad is cool. Like, they're like, my daddy's cool. And I have to be like, yeah, he kind of is. I get it, right? So my greatness for all these decades has been diminished because of my brother, but I found my way through it. So for this conversation, right, we're going to talk about You Won't Let Me Be Great. And we're going to start with Dr. Andre Evans. And I will say this one thing, one saving grace, and this is a shout out to all the siblings out there, because I think we experience this as siblings too. When you have particularly older and younger, there's always that comparison situation. The saving grace for me is we weren't the same gender, right? So there's a lot less comparison there. But my brother is and was very dope. And so we laugh about this particular episode because at the end of the day, sometimes there are people in your life who they won't let you be great by simply existing. And my brother, shout out to all the younger siblings, he is freakishly great at a lot of amazing things, actively hampering my ability to be great. And so we're going to dig into this today. But before we dig in, I'm going to let him get a quick response to the sound off, and then I'll shout out our sponsor. What you got to say to that?
Well, my first response is I didn't know your friends felt that way. And the fact that you didn't tell me meant that you won't let me be great with your friends. Like, I don't understand.
No dibs on the sibs. There's no dating friends.
We'll deal with that another episode. But I feel like you stunted some of my greatness, not allowing me to partake and the friends and the friend. Yeah. So whatever. We're moving on. Move on. Well. So as we just kind of round off the sound off here, it's kind of like, I hear what you're saying. I don't agree with anything you said. You and Mom had this conversation.
Listen, we are going to do a family. We're going to do a family survey. I'm telling you guys, we're going to do it and give you guys the results of all our friends and family extended. If I had to have them rank the four of us in just general attractiveness, I guarantee you guys, Andre is going to be at the top.
Okay,
then Mom. I'll probably edge out Dad just because I'm a girl and they feel bad for me, and then he'll be third loser, right? Not fourth place, third loser.
Right. Anyways, so going along the lines with some people, I guess hurt your greatness just by their existence. How do you, to kind of, like I said, cap off the sound off? How do you? Was there ever any like overcompensation? Like, did you try too hard? Were you doing too much in order to try to establish your own greatness? Because I think that's a key part to understanding greatness, is knowing that you don't have to overcompensate. You don't have to do too much. You don't have to go too far with it. You just got to establish your own greatness. Because I've actually seen this in siblings before. Where the younger sibling tries to do too much. And I can't even say the younger sibling. A sibling just tries to do too much because one particular sibling is kind of outshining in their definition. Yep. And so I think there is a great danger in doing too much and responding to like this this made up, this created overwhelming responsibility that everything, about you and what you do has to be great by comparison. Right. And so the question becomes, is there a responsibility to be great? You know what I mean? Like if I say, you won't let me be great, what I'm literally saying is I'm taking on a responsibility to be great. Yeah. And that responsibility is outside of me. But the fact of the matter is greatness isn't a responsibility. It's an existential present. Yeah. I shouldn't have to try to be great. I am great.
That's so good.
In my own right. And whenever we say, you won't let me be great, and I'm not talking about your particular, example, right. But just in general, anytime I say you won't let me be great, what I feel like what we're saying here is there's a part outside of me that I need to control in order for me to have this presence that I want to have. But when you just realize that who you are existentially is great, you submit to who you are, and everything in the environment sees that you're just submitting to your own talents, your own anointing, your own favor. Yeah. You're submitting to what's internal about you. And therefore, I don't take on this responsibility of defining to you what I am. I just do it, because again, that responsibility will cause you to look beyond yourself and try to see, what you're going to vouch for outside of you. I'm great because I've got this relationship, or I can do this. But what happens when those things fail? Right. Are you no longer great? So you're vouching for something that shouldn't even be defining whether you're great, because when you do that, now greatness is connected to someone or to something. And that's how we end up saying, you won't let me be great. So because, it ain't about you or the situation. We get compulsive in our responses. And I say that because if I say you won't let me be great, am I really hiding what I think or what I feel about myself? Am I really not dealing with what I think or what I feel about just kind of who I am and existentially? So when I hear people say you won't let me be great, I say to myself, nah, you ain't letting yourself. Like, you don't know who you are. You don't know how, right? You won't let you be great because you don't know how great you actually are. But I do understand that in the end, ultimately, we do as humans allow people or situations to hold us back. I get that. Yeah. So
that's so good. I mean, and we're going to unpack it for this episode. And so I love starting there. But one thing I'll definitely say that I think is so important for, family circumstances and springboards into life is that I also came from a family that did not pressure me to be like my brother. Now, be clear, like most families, there's always those spot moments where a parent may say, "Oh, I wish you were more like your brother in this." And we've actually talked about that on other episodes. But this space that says there is going to be a comparison, and what the goal is even though my brother, I'll tell you guys all the time, he would pick on me, bully me, there was never a question of his love for me, and there was never a question for his faith and hope and excitement for me and my future. I've said this before, but he's one of my biggest fans even to date, right? And so the balance to it is that, yes, you're looking at these human beings and your siblings, you're looking at your circumstances and you're saying, man, they are achieving at such a high level. And like Burbo just mentioned, when you don't have that defined for yourself, then that comparison is not going to steal your joy, but it sets you up. And so I think from the sibling perspective, it's easy to fall victim to that, to fall into the trap, to allow yourself to get into the headspace, I should say, because we often do compare, because it's like you said, who we spend so much time with all of our journey, that we do compare naturally. And so we're going to dig a little bit more into that. I'm going to use this moment to segue to our sponsor for the podcast, which is the Savage Siblings podcast. Our podcast is all about perspective. We often discuss life's issues from the vantage point of respected experts, from educated gurus, spiritual leaders, all the above in popular industries. But we're not the experts. We're just a brother and sister who love to discuss every facet of life. We have a strong love for foundation of storytelling, and we love to tell these stories through the lens of the sibling experience. So as always, we are so grateful that you are rocking with us, that you're listening to us. And remember, we always endeavor to be brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Well, Nikki, you ready to get savage?
Let's get savage.
All right. So one of the things we want to look at when we allow people just to kind of have impact on us, or allow people or situations in what we believe to kind of hold us back, is we're looking at connections, right? And so we're looking at good and bad connections with people or situations, and their impact on us in order to that may or may not hold us back. So for me, when I think of these connections we have, I don't necessarily want, I've had to learn not necessarily to look at the details as much as I need to look at just the connection. Is the connection a good one or a bad one? And oftentimes, the way I see it, or way I understand my connections, is the effort that I've got to put in to keep the connection.
That's good.
And that effort could be good or bad, but is that effort like wearing me out? Is that effort making me better? Is that effort causing me to is it a cost I can't afford? And that could be emotional or mental. That could be spiritual. That could be behavioral. Connection has to have an effort. Even a bad connection still has a lot of effort. It's draining you. A good connection might be pouring into you. And so one of the things you got to look at when it comes to whether or not you're allowing people to hold you back is think of the effort that it takes to put forth, watch this, the pretense that it's all good. Because what we'll do with bad connections is we'll still say, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, this is good. I'm hanging in there. I'm okay. Think of the effort it takes to give this pretense that it's all good. The fake smile. You know how hard it is to have a fake smile? Or the fake object relationship. Now, here's what I mean by object relationship. Okay, I want to paint a picture so that everyone understands what I mean about the effort it takes to make it seem like it's good, even though it's a bad connection. When I first got my office on the job, they bought me this, expensive chair. It's supposed to have lumbar support. Expensive chair. And I sat in it, and it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever sat in my life. But what they kept reminding me of was how much it cost. Yeah, I need you to listen. Not how comfortable or how functional, how much it cost. That chair was so big, I couldn't even, it was on wheels, but I couldn't wheel it anywhere because it took up 75% of the space of my office. So I wasn't like I could wheel it anywhere. It was a struggle just to turn it around, sit down in it without bumping my knees up, trying to get them up under. Worst chair I've ever had in my life. But they would come in and remind me of the cost, and I would just smile. And I'd say, oh, it's great. That fake smile, that fake object relationship. I led them to believe my relationship with this chair was good. When the fact of the matter is they could have went to Walmart, got a $30 chair. I would have been more comfortable, more mobile, and more able to accomplish the tasks and the goals that were set before me. Does the effort to make it look good outweigh the value of you being able to be great? That chair won't let me be great, and it was costing me everything. Everything.
Lower
comfort,
back pain, knee
joy, right?
Joy.
My L4 was cussing me out every day. Right? Like, man, I'm just telling moody. You. So you got, again, look at the effort it takes just to give the impression that this is good. That might be an indication as to whether or not you got a good or a bad connection. Because if the connection is severely stressed, or if the connection is telling you I need more support than what the two of you or you in the situation can offer, then it's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable connection, and it probably is holding you back. Yeah. And yet, at the same time, what we do, there's a fear of making a mistake, a fear of change, a fear of doing something wrong. All of that keeps you locked into a no-win scenario, a no-win situation, while you're just kind of constantly being bombarded with, is this chair going to work tomorrow? Am I going to have to feel this again tomorrow? The uncertainties, the unpredictability of trying to be great, trying to be great. And I'm going to let y'all know, if you're tracking my story, yes, I have a new chair.
We're good.
Because at some point, I had to let that chair go. At some point, I had to let it go so that I could be great. So I could be great, because greatness really is this ability to kind of be able to have all things that you're connected to allow you to kind of get in this zone, right? They when we talk about the GOATs of basketball and football, really in basketball is more prevalent. They're in the zone. So everything is just kind of working. Everything within them and in their environment is working with them so that they can be at their absolute best. So greatness is this ability to get in your zone and be who God created you to be. And you ought to be able to get into it with ease and just be, right? I don't have to, I can't be conditioned or dependent upon anyone else to be great. I just am. And greatness isn't about me, but it's an ease where I'm at my best because who I am existentially is vibing with everything environmentally and with ease. So that's how you at some point you gotta, evaluate. Are you in a good or bad connection with people or situation? Are y'all vibing? Are you trying too hard just to make somebody vibe with you? And so so your ability to be great, man, it starts with you understanding the connections you have. But those are my thoughts. Again on that.
I think there are layers too that you just beautifully lay out too. The first is, like you broke down, you have to really think about the layers to the greatness and how you define it. And for me, I kept thinking about the perceived hampering of greatness, right? Like in my mind, kind of the opposite in there of I think someone else is keeping me back. And again, giving the emphasis on the extrinsic factors, things that are outside of me, which is dangerous because what happens is then you set a standard for what greatness is for you. And now it's external, which you already talked about. Malachi, my son, he doesn't understand why I won't watch trailers for movies. He's of that generation where all they do is they watch them back to back, the 2-minute version, the 30-second version. They just love it.
Yeah.
He's in the YouTube generation, that alpha generation. And I talk about this in class a lot as well, but I do not watch trailers, or rarely, I should say, will I watch a trailer. And I told him it's because it's going to set the standard for how I view the film.
Right.
And I have enough respect for the filmmaker to walk into the space, just
with
open.
No expectation.
No expectations, open to whatever. And then I can come up with, my critical opinion, my thoughts on the movie. But when I watch the trailer, it's going to determine my expectation. And so then a lot of times I'm either overhyped or let down or whatever that reaction is based on the trailer. And anybody in film knows the trailers are never edited or rarely edited from the actual studio. There's an entire separate company and business that just does that because it's all part of the marketing strategy. And he's trying to kind of grasp this concept of, but for him, it doesn't matter because he's just like, no, I just want to see it and take it in, then I want to watch it. And so it's the same thing with when you're determining the standards of greatness. If you start to look for exterior factors, comparing yourself to others, what do my siblings do, or what does society say is this, then automatically, as you've already laid out, you're not tapping into the greatness that is already within yourself. For me, mine has to do with faith in God. So what God has already put in me. And so then I can't really even start to pick apart what those proper connections are, because all my connections are, exterior, which is problematic. And so then if you poorly select those connections again, then that's going to create additional stress, additional fatigue. I'm not in good relationships. I'm not taking the jobs that really value my skill set. I'm allowing fear, to lead me to connect with people who make me feel better about myself than I really am, right? Like all these things become problematic. And so I can't even define greatness because everything is outside. Everything is over there. I started with who is Anitra? What does she like to do? And we often don't acknowledge that, right? We don't acknowledge where we're, where we are or are not great, what we even want, what our life would look like if it were great. What is greatness for you?
Right.
When you don't do that, you can't even recognize the good connections that are already there for you, because there's a lot of great connections that just naturally come. My best college experience was at FAMU. Well, guess what? That connection came through you, which we've talked about. I never would have known about HBCUs. I never would have known about, a college that had a theater program that was dedicated to colorblind casting. That all came through my brother's connection with me to show me a college experience, right? And so the connections that we have, you have to first kind of filter out what's exterior, what's extrinsic, and then start with what's inside of me and how can I, figure that out. I have friends right now, bro, who never wanted to live outside of Wichita, Kansas. They just didn't have a desire. And one of the things our mom always said to me was, she always said, choose people who are going in the same direction that you're going. That's important on two fronts, right? One, it means, yes, you want to choose and make wise connections. But before you can get to that, as you already pointed out, if you don't first know who you are, what your standard of greatness is, you're still going to choose awry. And mom used to always say that about one friend in particular that I had all throughout high school. She used to always say, are you sure about this friendship? Is this a friendship with somebody who you feel like is going in the same direction? And when you're high school, you're like, you love your friends. You love whatever it is you're doing together. It's great.
Right.
You're not thinking future. You're not thinking next step. You're not thinking levels to greatness.
Right.
And I remember having that realization and it being a heartbreaking moment for me where I was like, whoa, now I see. Mom was saying it's not that this person's a bad person. It's not that there's anything wrong with them, based on the differences that you have. It's that connection is not going to facilitate the greatness in you because they're not on the vision of your greatness, right? And so I used to hate when she would say, choose people who are going in the same direction. What she was saying was, set your standard of greatness and pick people that have that standard or higher to be around. So let me ask you this, how do you know that what you're connected to is holding you back? You mentioned what it takes out of you, what it drains from you.
Right.
But how do you identify what's holding you back so we can think about some strategies to kind of break those things?
Well, I think, and you alluded to to a lot of what I think helps you identify. I think the first thing is that keeps us from identifying is that we have a tendency to look at the people or look at the situation. And I'm not saying they don't have some culpability in your bondage, so to speak. They don't have some culpability in it, but when we 100% and solely look at them, we are missing some things that help us to identify what's holding us back. And because then what we end up doing is we end up kind of judging how we think, how we feel, what the emotion is as we attach it to the person or the situation we're looking at. So then all of a sudden our relationships, whether they're good or bad, are based on, do I feel judged or do I feel rejected?
Wow.
Is the situation not wanting me? Is the situation looking down on me? Have I developed bad habits? Because if I've developed bad habits because of the relationship I'm connected to, then changing those habits I'm afraid of. Changing those habits are concerning to me because will I lose myself in the change process? And then you got that other piece that comes in that is fear. You know, and fears oftentimes let us know that we're connected we're in a bad connection that might be holding us back. Because the experiences we're going through, they're reminding us in a very traumatic way, something bad happened, yet I'm here again. So you end up in cycles, right? You end up in cycles and it may be a different person or a different situation, but it's the same cycle. And chances are then you are connected to something that's holding you back because you're not looking at yourself.
Yep.
You're looking at the person or the situation. Yep. And so in actuality, you are what's holding you back because you keep connecting with the situation or the relationship or the person that's perpetuating the comfortability. And I hate to say it this way, but it is, but the comfort you found in being judged. The comfort you found in being rejected, the comfort you found in being average, like you just said, the comfort you find in the habits you've established. The comfort you found in being afraid of change, the comfort you found in realizing that, you know what, experiences, bad things happen. That's just life. No. Greatness doesn't say that. But what we do is we look at people and situations and say, well, this must be as good as I'm going to get. Right. And now we're connected to something that's holding us back. And that something isn't necessarily the person or situation. The something is usually the mindset. Yep. And the comfort in mediocrity. There we go. And we have we got to get away with that. And so if I'm going to know how to identify what's holding me back, I think the first thing you got to do is check your feelings. Do you feel comfortable
feeling all the feelings
in this relationship? Do you feel comfortable in this situation? How do you feel when you talk to some of us? You know, you got relationships that when you start talking with this person, you just feel judged. You just feel less than. You just feel some kind of way. But your feelings are a really good indicator on what's holding you back.
That's good.
Your feelings are a great indicator on what's holding you back. Because as I said earlier, when you get in that fake smile, that fake action, it's because your greatness wants to come through, but it needs you to acknowledge that you feel average and feel mediocre and feel less than. You can't be great till you know how you feel about your stagnant situation right now. Yeah.
Oof, and yourself.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Oh, that's good.
Absolutely.
It reminds me of my first, thank goodness, probably first and only heartbreak. But definitely the biggest one in high school. And we'll leave the names anonymous, but you know all about that. But I had my high school sweetheart. You know who you are. But my high school sweetheart back in Kansas. And it's so funny everything, Dre, you just said about acknowledging the feelings, recognizing that, and even letting those feelings lead you to the appropriate mindset shift.
Absolutely.
So most of the people who knew us from Kansas knew that both of you and I were planning to leave. And this was no different for me.
Right.
And we've talked about this as well. But I knew I was destined to leave, Kansas for all the reasons we probably discussed. But my high school sweetheart at the time, it wasn't necessarily the thing that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know that. And because we're talking about feelings, and that's the thing too, I think sometimes when we're thinking about this thing of holding back or how we need to break away from something, we assume it's always bad. We assume it's always extreme.
Right.
Like, oh, he shot me in the foot and slapped me, right?
Right.
It's not always that. Sometimes it's more about really the subtle things that let you know, where you're headed, what you want for your life, the space that you're in that might be average, that might be mediocre. These subtle things doesn't make you or that person bad. It just means you have to change your mindset and make a shift if you want to move to where you're supposed to be. And bro, we were started to argue. We were getting to our senior year in high school, and we had been together for several years, and everyone was like they were the it couple and all these great, amazing things, and we were happy. And I could not for the life of me understand in that last year, we broke up and never got back together. But before we broke up, there was all this bickering and arguing and frustration over silly stuff. I mean, it could be over who's going to have cheese on their burger or not, right? We're talking about checking in with your feelings. Right. And it eventually led us to break up. But what I realized, years later, I was applying for all these colleges out of state, and I was bullying him or attempting to bully him to apply for these colleges. Yeah. I was setting up the next level of greatness for me, and I wanted to drag him along to it. And be clear, he was applying, he was doing certain things probably to appease me more than anything, but it wasn't his standard of greatness. And so this isn't to knock his standard, it's to identify, as we're talking about, two different levels of greatness and a connection that says, hey, maybe this is plateaued. Maybe this has reached all that it can be because you guys have to go on a different level. And so we broke up. I leave. I go to school in Florida. And I really didn't date for quite some time because I was so heartbroken because I never understood what happened to a beautiful relationship. And it wasn't until years later I was praying and God talked to me about it. And he said, you would have selected his standard. That's why I didn't let it work out. Like you would have selected his standard. You would have said, I want to be a wonderful wife to this wonderful man who deserves all of that. But it means that I'm not going to be leaving Kansas. I'm not going to look at different levels of greatness. I'm going to make this great. And this would be great. But God told me that's not for you. You would have turned him into your standard of greatness because you don't know that there's more out there. And I didn't get that until 2 years later when I started developing my relationship with God because I had to be in isolation. But for me, it's 2 years of heartbreak, right? It's like, what? It worked out. Like I'm going through all these things. And he's like, let me educate you. So one is don't always think that moving to greatness, when you tap into your true feelings, means that you or the other person or the situation is bad. It just sometimes simply means, no, you have a different path. Your greatness is taking you here and everybody can't go with you. Just like you can't go with everybody. And you might need to let that go, right? And so it doesn't always have to be just this ugly space. And here's the thing, as you just mentioned, bro, sometimes we are the one that's holding up the greatness, right? Yeah. Like I didn't realize that situation was dead until after I went through the process of leaving. Right. While you're in it, you're like, okay, it's fine. But sometimes you have to let the situation die, reflect on it, learn, right, and grow from it so you can understand, oh, this is the level of greatness that I didn't realize I was leaving out. So for some of us, embrace the process of learning what your standard of greatness is. Don't avoid it because that's the flip side. Absolutely. We don't make decisions because we're like, I don't know, I'm going to mess it up and I want everything to be perfect. That's perfectionism. Don't get into that. Some things you go through so that you can understand how you're going to define your greatness for yourself. And there will, there might be some hurt in it. There might be some growth and there might be some change in it. Last thing I'll say, and I'm going to kick it back to you, is you might find that the dead weight in this journey for greatness is actually you. And I'll give you guys an example with my son, Malachi. And my brother can attest to this as his uncle. So, I do not like the sport of football. I don't really like watching it. I have all sorts of issues and thoughts about the physical impact and effect it has on the body of the people that play it. I could go on for days about concussions and thoughts about science and then just comparing it in terms of a professional sport. There are so many other sports that can pay you way more and less injuries. So I could go on that. When it came to my son, and you gotta let children choose the sports that they want, if that's your truth. For my case, that's my truth. I try to let my son choose the sport. And of course, he chose football, which again, like I just mentioned, was very frustrating for me. So there's a cohort of men who I trust and respect. And so I started calling them. My brother's one of them. And here's the funny part. It didn't matter how many different people I called. Like they were all saying the same thing. Yep. Does he want to play? Yes. Then let him play. Yes. Oh, but what about, does he want to play?
Let him play.
And then I try to go back. Well, in flag football, because the coach is terrible. And he's so green. He's not the most athletic. I could run down. Does he want to play? Then let him play. So what I had to realize was, well, in this situation, in terms of you won't let me be great, I was the dead weight.
Yeah.
I was the one that was holding it up and needed to let it go. And it was one of the best experiences my son has had thus far. And once I stepped back and just said, let me let him walk this out. And that's the thing. My brother said, if he doesn't like it, he will tell you and he'll quit. He'll stop.
He sure will.
He'll get hurt one good time, be like, yeah.
Get in the bed. That's ain't for me.
Let me join the bed. Right. Like, he will make the ship.
Let me join the badminton team.
Right. Let me get some golf or something, right? Just completely changed. But I had to trust that. So part of this analysis, we're talking about, what does it mean to be held back? How can you identify it? Is it you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you the dead weight in someone else's situation?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so funny hearing you kind of talk about that. I'm reminded of a conversation Corinne and I were having about TikTok.
Oh, Lord.
Because here's the thing.
Anything with TikTok.
we really cannot impact or choose someone else's greatness, right?
Greatness. Oh, that's good.
And so Corinne's on TikTok, I'm on TikTok. She's talking about everything that happens on her algorithm, and I love this word here, her For You page algorithm, and it's all science and all these kittens of TikTok. And for whatever god-awful reason, mine is all Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, booty shaking, and so
of course.
I'm like, I don't understand, Corinne. Why is my For You page algorithm showing me this, and yours showing you that? And she goes, in a very, cynical Gen Z way, because we're not the same, Dad. We are not the same. At all. And she was like, you can try to follow some of the people that I follow, and then you can get my stuff, or just be who you are. And if you ratchet, Dad, be ratchet. Just be the greatest ratchet person you can be. Right? And so that's the thing. We cannot spend time in somebody else's algorithm.
Ooh,
right?
That's bars. Tweet
that's
that.
Their algorithm. We can't change somebody's greatness algorithm. Because it's what's on their For You page is for them. What's on yours is for you. So just don't be ashamed if you like Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion twerking on your TikTok. That's just where you are. That's just where you are.
I want you guys to know that's why he liked the name Savage Siblings for the podcast, was because of Meg Thee Stallion. He was like, yeah, we can use that. Savage.
Listen, I'm just saying, don't change my algorithm. I ain't changing yours. I will be great in my algorithm. My life algorithm is what makes me great. And your life algorithm is what makes you great. So that's all I heard as you were talking. Trying to change the high school sweetheart and trying to change Malachi. Let that man have his algorithm. Right.
Clearly. Okay, so having said that,
funny.
Now what are some strategies then for disconnecting? Like if you recognize that maybe you're connected to things you don't want, that you need to disconnect, or if you again are changing someone's algorithm, how can you become self-aware to disconnect?
Right.
What are some strategies to do this?
Because we all want to be our greatest self, right?
Yeah.
And so, we do have to know how to disconnect from people or situations that have this effect on you, that are holding you back from being great. You mentioned it earlier. It really finds its substratum, its foundation in your mindset. Because if your mindset isn't such that you know who you are, then you're not aware of how you feel, and you're not aware of when you need to disconnect. But once you know who you are, you know what makes you great. You know when you're in the zone that we talked about earlier, then you can start to understand, okay, I need to stay in the zone and stay in who I am existentially. So I do need to disconnect from some things, but that starts with a mindset. And I think that first mindset is understanding that you got to believe that the hard work and investment you put in yourself, it will lead to your greatness.
So good.
See, a lot of times we're connected to things that won't let us be great because it doesn't believe in the hard work and investment you're putting into yourself.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than being connected to something or someone that doesn't believe in the work you're doing on yourself. Because it changes what you believe. You at the core have to believe I didn't go to school for vainglory. I didn't change my habits for vainglory. I didn't walk out of this situation for no reason. No. Everything I've done to improve myself is because I believe greatness is ready to come out. And the more you believe then moves into confidence. And you have to have confidence that not just you, but people like-minded, people like you belong in a space where there's this place where you can thrive in your greatness. See, you talked about this earlier, and that is community. Find your community.
Find your tribe.
That is so good. That is what you have to have if you're going to be great. Find your community. Why? Because when you feel like giving up, you need to be in a community of like-minded people that cheer you on and say, nope, I see it in you. Don't you give up. Right now, you're connected to enough people that'll tell you you can't do it. But can you build a community of people that can tell you when you feel like giving up? No. I see it in you. Don't stop. Keep going. I see it in you. And when you've got that belief, you've got that confidence, you've got that community, then the only thing, or I feel like the major thing you got to do at that point is have this belief that what you're doing is valuable and relevant. And here's the key word, to your goals. What I mean by that when I say your goals is always think about your future self.
Ooh, that's good. Yep.
Don't get stuck in your current self. Always think about your future self. Because it'll cause your current self to be greater. That's how you start to disconnect. If you lack any part of this kind of mindset, chances are you're going to be less willing to continue working hard on yourself, continue to build a community that will cheer you on. And you'll probably be less willing to think about yourself in your future. If you don't develop all of these, all parts of this mindset, you're going to struggle to be great because it's for you. It doesn't make rational sense to work if you don't believe that you can improve. It doesn't make sense to make connections and build a community if you don't see the relevance of your greatness. It doesn't make sense to even think about your goals if you don't see the value of thinking of your future self. So you got to have all points of that mindset. You got to have the mindset that says, I believe I'll improve if I work hard on myself. You got to add to that mindset, I've got confidence and I'm going to build community in my confidence because they're my cheerleaders when I feel like giving up. And I'm going to always think of my future self because my goals for myself, they are relevant. Regardless of regardless of my current reality, my goals are still relevant.
Ooh, that's
and you got to have all those parts. I believe you have all those parts. If those are your strategies to moving on to greatness. Yeah.
I think when we talk about any of the GOATs in sports, like we hear about, Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba being this person that started early. After the game would stay late and keep pushing through. And for me, I always think about the importance of evaluating. I think the difference between those who are pressing forward to greatness is they never stop self-assessing and evaluating where they are. Like you mentioned before, there's that comfort level. Well, so comfort will make you stop evaluating. You keep eating the same thing because it's comfortable. Like you never try anything new. It's easy, right? And so you have to evaluate, like you said, where are you headed and what is great based on where you're headed. Where do you want to go? What does that look like? So it's like evaluating and defining and doing that consistently is going to keep you on the path. And that's also going to show you how to disconnect or what to disengage with. Because once I've evaluated where Anitra is, I've defined where Anitra wants to go. Now I can assess who's around me, what's around me. Are they going in that same direction to quote our mom? And if they're not, then it's okay to say, hey, this isn't working for me, or I'm sure I'm not working for you. There's other things that you want to do, right? And then from there, you're going to choose people, choose circumstances and situations that are putting you around the greatness that you aspire to, that's already in you. The example for me is a lot of my unmarried friends, they love all of the dating apps and the dating stuff on social media. And they are like, that's just what they do. And they're like, what's wrong? You've been single for a minute, you do these apps and stuff. And I'm like, no, because right now, the way that I prioritize my time, that doesn't work for me. I'm not judging them because they go out and date. But what I tell them is I purposely choose activities right, that are going to put me out on display so that I still can get in the dating game. So for me, I use my time by going to concerts. I purposely go to new restaurants. Like I just went to an amazing restaurant in Hollywood on a rooftop all by myself, right?
Nice.
That is part of the way that I value Anitra. And it is uncomfortable. Yeah. Because I would much rather sit at home in my PJs, eat something in the kitchen and watch some TV, right? But instead, my version of the dating app is you are going to purposely prioritize time to put yourself out there in spaces and environment that make your time useful. I just went to a concert yesterday. I love going to museums. And so what I'm saying is, as a single woman who knows greatness in her future is to be remarried, I don't sit and not do anything and not invest in that. I purposely make sure that I do things that will put me out there, but also value my time. I also invest in other married couples. That's another strategy for me. How can I serve you guys? How can I learn from you guys? Right. And so the goal is, if you just sit in your space, and to use myself as an example, as an unmarried woman, and you don't evaluate and define your future greatness, she will be a Proverbs 31 married woman. If I stay in the space today, then I'll never get there. I'll never do the things to invest, to move forward. And so it's so important that you don't settle for that, right? You don't just settle for what's comfortable. And you also just don't get comfortable not questioning and I think the word is challenging, but just evaluating just where you are and what those next steps are to defining that. So as we're rounding out this Savage segment, the last thing we kind of talked on it, but defining greatness for yourself. How do you find that standard for yourself? What are some ways, if some people are like, I don't even know where to start with defining greatness. I haven't seen it. I'm not even sure where to start. What are some strategies that we can help people define greatness for themselves?
Well, I think one is understanding that anything you and I say is just a thought point, a concept, right? Because everybody's definition of greatness, number one, has to start from an organic space within themselves. So we can't define greatness for anyone else, but conceptually speaking, how we think about greatness really is going to develop our trajectory of greatness. Yeah. So if you think medium about yourself, that's your trajectory.
There it is.
If you think great about, and I'm not saying think prideful or think, I'm not saying think conceited or arrogant. No, I'm saying think greatness. Now remember, for us, greatness as human beings, we strive for greatness. That is our human fundamental drive. So therefore, greatness has to come from within. So I'm not going to say that for me, to be great is to be a millionaire. No, because I'm not existentially made of as a millionaire. Right. It's who I am that makes me great, not what I have. Yeah. So when you're defining greatness, you can't look at what you have. You got to look at who you are. And only you and God know what drives you. Only you and God know what your cultural value is. Yep. Right. And so your concept of greatness and the trajectory that it all developed starts with understanding who you are, how God, just who you are, whatever your faith tells you about yourself. Because then what it's going to do, if you notice, it's then going to have implications on how you educate yourself, your business acumen, who you are in society. Because how you think about yourself, and you can only define what specifically makes you great, that's what puts forth the effort to understand all the complexities of greatness, because it takes everything contributing at once to make you great. That's why I was saying what I said about basketball players, they're in the zone. They're not in the zone by themselves. The entire environment is what's putting them in that zone. There are so many traits to greatness, your creativity, your servant leadership, and they don't operate as an additive humility. Yeah, they don't operate as an additive manner. What I mean by that is you're not adding creativity to, no. They're operating as a collective manner. I need it all to work in order for me to operate in my greatness and let my greatness manifest. Now, why do I need to do that? Because simply this, and here's the other part that I think a lot of people miss, and that's why we look at the external. Your greatness goes beyond you.
Ooh,
meaning,
that's good.
What good are you being great if nobody can witness it and be blessed by it?
Blessed by it. Ooh, yep.
Right?
Yep.
So therefore, if greatness requires me to be a blessing or to be a beneficial factor to someone else, then I definitely better be defining my greatness by who I am, not what I have. And when I find out who I am, then I realize it's not just me that needs me to be great. It's everybody in my world. It's every situation in my world that needs me to be great.
Yeah.
And it needs everything needs me to be great because there's something specific and particular to my greatness that allows me then to be able to move into greatness of service, greatness of just creativity, greatness of everything. It's particular to me. Nobody can be my great, just like nobody can be your great. Yeah. So when you're looking at defining your greatness, start with on the inside. What is it specifically about you? Not what you have. What is it specifically about you that when it's at its optimal best, just blows away the environment in a positive way?
In a positive
That's
way,
what that's your greatness. And then once you find your greatness, keep making that better. Keep making that go to the next level. To me, that's the definition starts with just kind of who you are existentially, not what you have.
I think that's so good. The only thing I would add to that is just in the day and age that we live in is as you know, you're looking within yourself and within those values within you and your faith and things like that. Don't get sucked into the society that we live in with all the social media, the 24-hour news cycle, the highlight reels, because that will always challenge the way you define greatness for you. Because you're just inundated with all these visuals and just everything that says this is what great is all across the globe, not just in your neighborhood, all across the globe that can spiral you into depression. I'll tell a quick story here, then we'll jump into the transformational perspective. But I have had to learn that in every circle of my life, professional, don't get me started, as a mother. I mean, social media will just have you feeling like you are, what is that, mommy dearest, beating your kids with wire hangers, like just the
call
ultimate
CPS
love.
on your own self.
Right, exactly. It'll just make you go to dark places. But one place I stand firm on is I'm a firm believer that the Christmas season begins November 1st and ends promptly on January 1st of the following year. Okay? And some of you people out there just don't seem to get it. You seem to think that you don't start Christmas decorations and the holidays. You don't play Boys to Men, Let It Snow until after Thanksgiving. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I don't.
That is correct.
We start November 1st. Okay?
Well, you just offended all the indigenous people.
Oh, stop it.
Right.
No, because some of my decorations celebrate the indigenous root. I make sure that we spend a good 3-day section at the end of November honoring our indigenous folks. So Thanksgiving gets 3 days, and then we go right back to the Christmas season. The reason why I bring this up, all seriousness, is it is such a place of therapy for me. So I am that one in my household that loves decorations, that loves to put it up. My poor family, they have learned that it's just this wonderful space of therapy for me. And one of my neighbors recently, in the block that we live in, she said, Anitra, I used to be the one on the block that was doing this, and then you moved here. And she said, I'm just passing the mantle to you. Like, you've taken it to a whole nother level with all the decorations. And so she actually started buying Christmas things and giving them to me and saying, you add this to your book.
Nice.
Add this to your window. And I'm like, yes, right. So I'm feeling good. But what people didn't realize, and it goes back to how we define greatness, is it's actually part of my mental and emotional rest. I literally put on my ear pods and I sit outside and I decorate and I pray and I meditate. And it's the one thing that doesn't have deadlines or expectations or some of the other things that life can kind of put on you. And so I really enjoy it. And so now my family knows, so she's just not trying to be extra great. She's not one of those extreme examples of like those holiday movies where the person
Right.
It's just adding lights to everything and, ruining the power for the whole neighborhood. It's just a space of therapy for her, something that she enjoys and she can share it with others. And I get a lot of compliments of people like, this is great. We're not going to do it. We don't have time or interest, but we get to enjoy yours. So they're always looking forward to that. But I want to say, don't allow what other people do to define your greatness for you, which is what we've been saying the entire time. I remember when I first met Jeffrey Katzenberg, he's the head of animation for DreamWorks. And we talked about his greatness and we talked about all the things that he's accomplished. And someone asked him kind of like, how has he been able over all these decades to go working from Disney to then launching the entire animation department in DreamWorks, just been able to continue to shine. And he said, I only need to sleep 4 hours a day. Like, that's it. I've never needed more than 4. Right. I'm going somewhere with this. And we all kind of like, just the air went out. Everybody like,
Right.
That's how you define great. You see people start taking their fingers and counting like, what can I get rid of? But then I also heard an interview with Jennifer Lopez, and J-Lo said she doesn't remotely choose to function without 8 hours of sleep. Like, she builds her life around 8 hours of proper rest. And look at all she's accomplished, right? And so whether you're decorating, crazy holiday decoration, whatever it is, it has to start with you, and you will define it for yourself. Don't try to mimic 4 hours of sleep because your body may not work that way. Some of us sleep too much and our bodies ain't working that way either, right? So you're going to figure out what greatness looks like. And just as my niece Corinne said, it's different for everybody. It's not supposed to look the same. It's absolutely supposed to be unique and unique to your journey, but it's going to take you living life, making choices, finding the connections to really allow it to evolve and grow and really to develop what's already inside of you. And so with that, let's jump into the transformational perspective. So we've been talking about the importance of connections, right? And we've already defined this good and bad connection. Now, what about, bro, the mindset that says, look, the way I'm going to, get to my greatness is I'm just going to connect with everybody. I'm out here
with everything. I'm just out here.
I'm out here in these streets connected. Like, I don't want to have to worry about if it's a good connection or a bad connection. I just want to be able to connect. This made me think about you specifically. So I'm going to tell you guys my brother.
Oh, Lord.
Because we've been praying for him all his life. When he was at Florida State, probably, I guess, his first or second year there, our mom called him I think she actually visited, but she was checking on him and wanted to know, how was he doing with the food situation? Every parent wants to know, are you eating? Because, starving college students, you're on ramen noodles, et cetera.
Yeah.
So she was checking in to make sure, is he getting enough food, making sure that he was well. My brother promptly responded to her and told her, yes, I have a girl that makes dinner for me every night. Got Becky on Monday, Shaniqua
I don't know about
Tuesday.
Becky. Okay, that might be it.
Kelly on Thursday, like just breaking down. But then she told me, he said, and then Sunday I eat at the church. The church has a college dinner for all the college students. So he made sure that he gave the Lord time and stopped his heathen ways after the week. And so Mom was like, well, Andre, what are you doing? And he said, well, Mom, my body is community property. That's what he said to our mother. His body is community property. And she said, you're going to get a
I do not remember this conversation.
Said, yes, this is exactly what happened. She said it was so bad. She said, I was like, what do you mean you got different women making meals for you each night of the week so you're covered? Basically, he was saying, I'm good. I don't need any financial support. I've got it spread out over the week. And then the saints carry me on Sundays, right? Well, I want you guys to know that was actually when she went out and purchased a Sam's credit card or opened up a Sam's credit card for my brother from that day forward. I don't know if he realizes that, but that was the reaction to his behavior.
I did not know that.
She said, let me get a Sam's charge card so my baby can go and get him some food properly at the grocery store rather than becoming community property and getting a community disease from all these women, except on Sundays when he went to the church and prayed over his behavior for the week. So my thought is on the transformational perspective is there are bad connections. Don't be out here in these streets just connecting. You have any thoughts on that, bro? Joseph.
I don't know anything about that story at all. What I do know is Mom cut me off from the Sam's card because I didn't buy food. I bought a doghouse for Nico. And she
Nico
cut
was
me
his
off.
lab.
I do remember that. Yeah. Yes. Nico was my lab chow mix. That was my boy.
Oh,
I did
my
not
God.
buy food. I bought it. And then she called me. She called me straight. She called me straightway. Talking about, Andre, you were supposed to buy food. And I was like, I do remember that. And I do remember telling her, but Mom, I got food. I don't remember anything else that other stuff you talking about. But I do remember saying, but Mom, I got food.
I'm not starving.
What I don't have is a doghouse. That's what I don't have.
Dog food.
I don't have a doghouse. Why won't you let Nico be great? He needs a doghouse. I don't know if I said all that, but that just makes sense now in this moment. But no, but going along with that illustration that I do not remember having.
Facts.
No, to think about this, just making, kind of doing this, what do they call that? This massive move to make all kinds of connections and just kind of waiting on one to work out. Mm-hmm. Going along with the illustration that you brought up, because I don't remember doing that, you run the risk of contracting something you never meant to contract in the connection you should never have made.
You better teach.
Now, and I'm going to tell you something. Don't be out here just making herd connections. Don't be out here just making herd connections. Like herd immunity. Don't be making herd connections because you're going to mess around and contract heartache. You're going to mess around and contract failure, disappointment, hurt,
loss,
pain, loss, cost you can't recover from.
That's good.
So no, I think you still have to be very discriminate. You still have to be very discerning on the connections you make because, so the bottom line here is when you're seeking to be connected to people or situations, they got to be good connections that pull your greatness out and that's why I said earlier, build your community of greatness. Yeah. Build your community of greatness because the psychology that comes with building a great community around you, like I said, goes beyond this individual focus. But what it does is it kind of integrates who you need to be socially and culturally, economically, politically, environmentally. All of these influences, because all of them promote greatness. You can't be greatness. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Right. It happens with community connections. And those community connections empower, they bring health and wellness to you. They bring positive transformation. And it becomes this greatness sometimes can be seen as systemic. It becomes this system that you just know how to make sound connections. Those connections pour sound things into you. And when you get it to that level, then you recognize immediately what's not good for the system. And at that point, you immediately say to yourself, yep, that's not going to make me be great. So let me not let that connection happen. It can't, that connection cannot stand. So to me, that's while it seems fun to do this herd connection, the bottom line is it's better to be very discerning on every connection you make with people and with situations because you want to build a great community around you, a community of greatness in people, in situations and circumstances. Build a community of greatness around you.
One story that I'll share really quickly before we move to the quick shot, but directly connected to the importance of community. I was doing some research for this episode, and I was not familiar with Brian Cuban, who is Mark Cuban's brother, Mark Cuban of the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. And he's written, I think, a couple of books, but he wrote this beautiful blog that just talked about his journey, specifically as a sibling, a younger brother. He's the middle child, but younger to a sibling who clearly has achieved greatness on so many levels in his older brother, Mark Cuban. And he ended up, and I'll keep it short and we'll definitely post it so you guys can read that article and dig more if you want to. But he just talked about how from their childhood, Mark was always destined for greatness. How much money he was making in elementary school and all the business moves he was making, how his father and uncles invested in him because it was just innate in who he was. It was ingrained in his DNA. Whereas Brian, his personality type was much more muted, just naturally more introverted, felt more comfortable at home in isolation. And so what unfortunately happened was he watched his brother making these major moves as a young kid, and then in middle school, then high school, and obviously moves on to just huge billion success, right?
Absolutely.
And two key things happen, which are just, again, a kind of a culminating response to what we've been talking about this whole episode. One is what you just said, is he started trying to define his greatness, not as Brian Cuban, but what? As Mark Cuban's brother.
As Mark Cuban.
That then led him to drug abuse, prescription drug abuse, alcoholism, failed marriages, because his whole life was based on these huge circles and environments that he had no connection to because he had not identified who he was, right? And because of the comparison. And here's the thing, he talks about it, not the comparison that his brother or his father or his parents or his siblings or anybody put on, one that he had prescribed, one that he had put on himself. And because he didn't spend the time figuring out, well, even though I'm not necessarily as assertive, we'll say, or as outgoing in the way that my brother is, what are my strengths? It took him going through all of this failure. It took him having 2 stints in psychiatric hospitals to learn that as he started developing his gift as a motivational speaker, as a storyteller, someone who was recovering in all these spaces, then, and this is my label I put, but God used him now to inspire other people to overcome and learn the connections. But here's the thing he talks about the most. From, his youth all the way to now him being recovered and being much better, his family never left him. They didn't change how they dealt with him. They continued to stand by his side and helped him walk through this transformation. And so they were still very much a part of his recovery and becoming the speaker. And I just thought it was so profound. The quote that I wrote down is he said, "We all should embrace ourselves and our uniqueness at the earliest opportunity in our lives."
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Earliest opportunity in your life. So if you're hearing this now, it's not too late. Start now. If you already know where you're great, as Bro just said, keep cultivating that, right? And then, as we've been saying, then choose the people that help you do that. Even though Brian went through all that stuff, he said his brother, his family, they never left his side. They rock with him.
Right.
We got you. We know who you are.
Absolutely.
We know what you're discovering.
Absolutely.
And it's just such a beautiful story. So I'll make sure that we add that to this post for sure. So you ready for the quick shot?
Yeah, I'm ready for the quick shot. So we're talking about things, situations, relationships that won't let us be great. And I found this on Twitter, and it made me laugh because it's one of those ones that you're just reading, and then it's like a flip the script at the end. Didn't see that coming. And the tweet says, "I'm currently in a toxic relationship that I'm getting out of, y'all. I'm getting ignored. My plans are being canceled. I always got to pay the bill. And apparently what I'm working with is inadequate. I'm so done with this relationship. My Wi-Fi won't let me be great." And then it was like, then it was explicative AT&T. Explicative you AT&T.
Boop, boop, boop. AT&T.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought that was good. I enjoyed that one.
Love it. All right. So for me, I just found a couple of things that we are all guilty of. And we usually don't really talk about them, like how that we're guilty. It was just this funny list of just things that we have all done. And I think my follow-up question, I'm going to read them off, but then I want to know, one, have you done this, bro? And then I want to know why. And here's the thing. We've all done these goofy things. Okay, and I think the why is probably always the same for all of us because we just do, right? So
right.
This list made me think of it because, this is us looking at ourselves and saying, I can't be great because of X, Y, and Z. And it's usually because we just don't want to deal with whatever these things are that we need to change. So I'm going to throw this out. Have you done this? And if so, why? Calling somebody, hey, you or buddy, because you forgot their name.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Why did you not just say, what's your name? I forgot your name.
Because we trying to preserve their feelings and we trying to make it seem like we don't have a memory problem. Or for me, a lot of times it's like, I don't want to make you feel like you're irrelevant, but you are because I remember your name. So that's why I do it. I don't want to make you feel irrelevant.
Their name won't let you be great, huh?
Right.
You don't have a memorable name. We never will decide I forgot your name. I'm sorry.
Right.
All right.
No.
Next one. And this one cracked me up. Have you done this and why? carefully inspected an item at the grocery store because someone is standing in front of the item that you actually want.
Absolutely. I've done that.
Why?
I've done that. And I'll be making noises like, really? Man, let me keep looking. Like, well, absolutely. I don't know why. I don't know why. Because for me, it's I don't want to be rude.
Right.
Because I'm afraid that the inflection of my tone is going to let me know I really need you to get up out my way.
Right.
So I can get what you taking too long to pick up and get out my way. Like, you know, so I'm going to do in an annoying fashion what you doing in front of what I need. That's what I like, you know, do your research at home before you come to the grocery store and decide which kind of butter you want, unsalted or salted. Do your research at home.
The cauliflower rice.
Right. Go home and figure out if it's keto or pescatarian or whatever you want. Do that research at home because the rest of us know what we want. I know what I want. Get out my way. So
we will stand there and read another item.
I'll stand here. I sure will. I ain't finna go to another aisle and come back. If I leave this aisle, I ain't coming back to this aisle. If I leave aisle 8 won't see me for another 2 weeks when I get paid. So yeah.
And I need my mint chocolate chip ice cream. I love it. Okay, let's do a few more. Oh gosh, I'm guilty of this. Hitting the elevator button multiple times.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. This is, you know, it's the impatience, right? like if in my opinion, when Otis made this elevator, when you hit it 13 times, it's supposed to go 4 times as faster. So, because I understand the Otis production process of an elevator, I'm going to hit it 13 times just to hear one of my smart mouth daughters be like, ooh, we're moving so much faster.
Oh, God, that's so good. Okay, let's do another one. This is interesting. Do you do this? Have you done this? And why? Lying to the doctor when they ask you about your alcohol consumption.
Well, so they've got, I've lied so much, my doctor's got slick. She don't ask if, she says moderate, high, severe. And I'll be like, those are my only options? Really my only options? You just assume that my worst is moderate? And then I'll be like, well, how much is moderate? You know, what is that frequency? Is that 2 glasses a day? No, Andre, that's bordering severe. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Don't lie to me. Don't judge me. Don't judge me with your education in medical school. Don't judge me. I know my liver better than you. So yes, I lied to Dr. Zena White. Shout out to Dr. Zena White. I lied to her 2 weeks ago. How's your alcohol consumption? Moderate. I don't even know I don't know what that frequency is.
We're gonna leave I don't even want to know why. We're gonna leave it alone. All right, let's see. Let me do maybe 1 or 2 more. Okay,
no, wait. No, wait. I had to tell Dr. White one time, why would you even ask me that? You know I'm a pastor. We take communion every first Sunday. Like, why are you asking me this? Yeah, that's when she stopped asking yes or no. She started asking moderate, high, severe.
Oh, God. That's Welch's. Okay, stop that.
Right.
Okay, this one I thought was interesting. Have you done this and why? Feeling personally victimized by an inanimate object. Example, your cell phone hates you because they won't keep the Wi-Fi. Your printer has a personal vendetta because it's jammed. You have a full-out conversation. Why do you always do this to me?
Every day. I feel attacked by my couch pillows because they're not giving me the support on my back. Every day. God knows I have had conversations with everything in my place. I had conversations with everything.
It's personal,
everything. Right.
It's like, why
as if it's their fault.
When someone else come over.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, God.
I feel attacked by my place every day.
But I know we have to round this out. So I'm going to just do, I think, just 2 more. So I'm definitely guilty of this. Ignoring emails for weeks And then when you do respond, you say something like, I don't know how this ended up in my spam folder.
So
bad.
Okay, so here's the thing. Emails, I don't do that way, but text messages, I do that way.
Something wrong with my phone. You just say,
right. Like, I don't know how I missed this text. And see, here's the thing. Oh, Lord. I'm finna get calls and text messages as soon as folks start hearing this episode. You lied. You lied to me talking about you tired and you went to sleep. You didn't check your text message. You just ignored me. I'm just tired. I'm tired.
The cell phone companies are getting smart when they're saying message read, received by recipient.
Right.
It's showing when you open it. Like, dang.
I'm tired. It shows it was delivered on this day and at this time. How you not see it? I didn't see it. My bad. My phone wasn't by me. my phone wasn't by me at the time. I don't know.
All right. These are so much fun. Okay, let me just do this one here. I'm definitely guilty of this. Have you done this? And if so, why? Seeing an outrageous price on something at the store, but then pretending for a while that you're still considering it.
Look, first of all, the price don't even have to be outrageous. I'm broke. It got to be anti-broke. So the price only has to be anti-broke. And I'm going to be like, what the world? But yes, I will look at it and look, I'll do that thing where you look up and to the left like, do I, and quietly contemplate it. And then look, I'll do that thing where I'll look around, see some other options and I'll put it down and then I'll point to it like I'm coming back. Like I'm having a whole nonverbal conversation with folk watching me. Knowing full well that I ain't buying it at all. I ain't buying that joke at all. The way my checking account work. But I'm going to have a full nonverbal conversation with that object just so people don't think I can't afford it.
Oh, God. Listen, we're out of time. I've got more. We'll have to recap this one at another one because I've got more. But those are so much fun. But I know we got to wrap this episode out. So great. I love it. So, Bro, what do you have for the final blow?
So we really keyed in on, you won't let me be great. And that word let is so powerful that as soon as I heard this topic, I already knew kind of where I wanted to go in this final blow. Mm-hmm. That word let, the power of that word, you allow or let things to cause a feeling. You allow or let relationships to come into your space and they have this impact on you. And so when so many times we talked about how you got to build your greatness community, you got to build what's around you in order to help you be great. And you got to be careful with how you build because it could either take away from your greatness by allowing or letting it into your space, or it can build your greatness by allowing or letting. But I wonder if you really think about what it means to let or allow. And I want to take you to of course, to the Word of God in that first chapter, first book, Genesis, that first chapter. And the Bible says, God says, let there be light. And so what God is literally doing there is he's giving permission for the existence of something called light so that it can be at its greatest. And he says, then let there be firmament. And God is giving permission for something to exist in his world, in his foundation, in his creation that he'll allow to be at its greatest. Now, I need you to understand this. When God says, let there be light, let there be firmament, let there be a flock of the air, beast of the field, he's saying, I'm going to allow this to exist in my creation and I need it to be at its greatest. But watch this. What happens with us, those of us witnessing in it, we say then that's what makes God great. And it's not that God can get greater. No, what we're saying is we're experiencing another level of his greatness because of what he let, what he allowed in his creation. That's the encouragement I'm trying to give to everyone listening right now. That's the same for our greatness. It's not really greatness by yourself. I said you can't be great in a vacuum. You got to learn what to give the right permission in your life. So what makes me great is when I give the right permissions for relationship, the right permissions for situations. And it's because I want them to be their greatest, because when they're their greatest, then I'm my greatest. And now people experience another level of my greatness because of what I let or allowed to either hold me back or move me forward to greatness. So when we're talking about becoming your best self, we're talking about you being great. Really guard yourself on what you allow or what you let or what you give permission to in your life, and only give permission to those things that you can challenge and help be at their greatest, so you can be at your greatest, so your entire world experiences another level of greatness within you. And that's my final blow for this app.
Excellent. I love it. So we're going to wrap this episode out. As always, we thank you guys so much for joining us for Savage Sibling Podcast, where we are brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. Please leave us your comments, your thoughts, your feedback on all of our platforms. Share your thoughts on sibling greatness or sibling lack thereof greatness.
Right.
Perhaps you have your own sibling shadow story or a counter perspective to our entire discussion. Listen, we want to hear it. Come and share. Shout out to Ronnie Maxwell of Maxwell Music, our music producer, music supervisor. Shout out to Dwayne McClendon, post-production supervisor and sound editor. Huge thank you to our parents, Gene and Dolores Evans. We're grateful that you allow us to be us. And again, thank you for tuning in. We are signing off. And remember, don't go through life alone. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Be blessed.